Podcast 34. Oh boy. I'm back on Apple Podcast, baby. Oh, it's back. I don't know why. I didn't enter in the payment information that was preventing me from uploading further, but maybe they removed that limitation or that necessity. I don't know. I've been really consistent with. I woke up this morning and I did 400 squats. I was supposed to go to the gym, but my ride was doing the typical thing of someone just trying to get their life together and like start being disciplined and heading to the gym. And they slept in, and then like we were gonna go get coffee and then go to the gym, but we ended up just getting coffee, and it was pretty pleasant. Or what, I was like sitting in the coffee shop and just talking and having coffee. But I kind of wish I talked to other people, or when I was it encouraged me to later make the plans to go back. But I really wish that I had learned that I could do 400 squats with the kettlebell while I was in the motel. Of course, all this like really matters towards eventually leading me to the house that I'm now currently at. And yeah, just got invited by, or my mother asked one of her friends if I could stay with her, and yeah, and now I'm in a really good environment. Far better than the motels and stuff. The last one was pretty decent. It was like right next to the gym in Ogden, and I really liked the steam room at the gym in Ogden and all that. But of course, I was so weak and so like stuck on procrastination, just waiting hours and hours and just never going to the gym or whatever, and not figuring out that I was like, oh, you should wake up and go straight to the gym. And that was the key that I was missing, like just do it immediately. But like while I was in at one motel, where I met one of my friends, and I was staying with my buddy who I met on the streets one time. And like I was living with my friend at the time, and I let him stay there and all that. But like I could have been doing like an hour of yoga. I could have been doing 400 squats and all that. But like it wouldn't have really mattered all too much. It would have helped. I don't know if it would have solved my problem. I had this in like where my sternum is, or is that a sternum? I don't remember. The your ribs, that little like sensitive spot where the like cartilage is kind of, anyways, the middle of the chest where the ribs kind of go down and go off into their curves or whatever. I would get this anxiety feeling, or this terrible like I could describe it as anxiety, but like it wasn't anxiety. Like I wasn't thinking about anything or anything. It wasn't involved with my thoughts. It was a biological process or something like that. But I freaking happened to smell weed one night, and like someone was, and I was like totally dying for it, and like I went upstairs and like had the courage, like I was like talking to my friend, my roommate, about like, oh, we should go, and like we were scared, and then I decided to just go up by myself, and then I go up, and then I meet my friend, and he's like super cool and like super kind, and he talks about love of the universe, and then like yeah, and he had this sense of like compassion and care, and he was like a really cool guy. But like I ended up later a while I ended up going to his brother's birthday party, and I had this wonderful time. It's great, blessed. Oh, it was so much fun. It was so meaningful. The conversations were amazing. I loved being drunk that night. But I wake up the next morning and find myself puking when I eat food, and my gut burning so bad. Oh my god, I was so miserable. And then so I end up having that like anxiety, weird feeling in my gut or what else that arised. It arised every morning. I'd wake up and it's like I got to go to the gym. I got to do 20 freaking squats or whatever, some intense squat workout. And then by the third set, I would feel better and it would go away pretty much. But that freaking that night I burned my stomach. With alcohol. And it's funny, like, all these doctors were like, freaking like, oh, how could you do that? Like, that's usually like something of chronic alcohol use. And nope, I just I was fasting and I drink, and yeah, and I was like doing really intense fasts, and it was trouble actually because I'd fast all day. And then there was a point where I went out to get a shake. And this happened at this house too. A shake, and then I fast for 2 days, or I fast until like 6, and then I'd have like a Huel shake, and then at some point like there's just like this intense hunger, and or this intense painful hunger, and then I couldn't eat anything. But anyways, back to anxiety, gut, and burnt stomach. Like I'm puking. I'm literally like my roommates trying to keep me like telling me stop puking, stop doing that. Like and like the only thing that relieves the feeling, the pain, would be sticking my finger in my mouth and making myself gag, and then like I'd keep on doing that, and then I'd drink water and then I'd puke it out, and then I'd drink water and then I'd puke it out, like just like trying. It's such a temptation because it was like the only relief. And then there was also the like one other thing that really helped temporarily was heat exposure, really high heat. So I would turn on the bath to the point that it's like kind of scary. It's like, oh, am I gonna burn myself? And then you get in there, and like a few times I did like, oh, scream and like, oh, that really fucking hurt. But like if it goes well and it's not too hot and I get in, it's like a couple seconds even just staying in the heat, and the feeling would go away, and that would reduce the pain of that like weird anxiety gut thing that arised in the morning steadily, and then I would go through a day of like absolute hell and uselessness and like just like the worst goddamn feeling ever. One of the worst. I've experienced pretty goddamn bad feelings, but and I'm glad for that, because it's like the mundanity of life, to breathe, to just sit here and exist and not have some major super terrible thing going on. It's just like, oh my god, that is a blessing. Yeah, and so like I freaking ended up meeting that guy, my friend, and smoking weed with him for the first time, and then I started hanging out with him every other day or so, or quite a lot. I don't know, I was sometimes scared to hang out because I didn't want to seem like too needy or too like wanting to hang out or whatever. But I freaking, I'm miserable. My stomach hurts. I can't eat anything. Or I think I found out later I could eat protein. And I'd be fine, but like carbs or something like that and fats like were problematic or whatever. But I was miserable, and I just decided I wanted to go be miserable with a friend or something like that. And I don't really know how their experience was, but I kind of just laid on their floor, and I was just laying there with a pillow on my head, or a couch cushion, just a random couch cushion. Anyways, and like I freaking was just like, I prayed to God. Like I was just feeling so terrible, and I like prayed to God, just out of nowhere, just like, please get rid of this gut feeling. And then like, and I'm just laying there, and like I'm getting frustrated, and I'm getting annoyed at my suffering and how unfair it seems, and or something like that. And then I smacked my face out of frustration, and I noticed when I did that, maybe I did it like a couple times, or when I did that, I noticed like there was a slight relieving feeling to whatever was going on. And then I just got the idea, like, just like wiggle around. I'm like wiggling around and like putting my feet up in the air and my back up in the air, and like, and then like moving my arms around and just like tossing and thrashing about like a wild animal. And after a few moments or a few minutes or whatever, I don't know how long, and I had the feeling go away. It just went away. And later at a bar, I go I later at a bar, I'm like talking to someone about it, and then they mentioned that like, oh, bears in the wild, when they get when they experience like a trauma or an encounter or danger, that they get this like sort of feeling, or they get there's energy built up. And like, so maybe potentially I was like shaking out this like psychological trauma or something like that. But and then I was like, wow, like, because I happen to at the America Stay in extended America Stay or whatever, there was but I got kicked out because they didn't like me. I don't remember why. I think because I kept on bringing in my bike inside, and I was worried about leaving it outside. And yeah, I don't really know what else. Maybe they didn't like the group of friends that I was hanging out with, or like the weed smoking or whatever. But like, I got kicked out of that place, and then I get to the next place, and I happened to meet my friend, and it's just so unlikely. I could have gone years, literally years, without ever figuring this out if this didn't happen. Like, if I didn't just happen to get kicked out of the previous place. And like, then I get kicked out of the place that I had the anxiety, or where I solved the anxiety and met my friend. And I got kicked out because I was like going out and grabbing reburns and smoking them inside. And I just left a pile of ash, and I had a little piece of cardboard, and I burned it. And I was just watching the flames. Like, it's a little fire, whatever. Like, literally just like stomp it out in a few seconds or whatever. But like, stupid people have like this major dogma against like any possible flame, and it's wise in the sense that like, you should always be, or it's good to be cautious with flames all the time, because there might be a mistake. You might have a hallucination or a slip in sharpness or attention, and something could happen. But anyways, I just left a pile of that ash and cigarettes, and then the cleaning lady comes by, and she sees it, and then she goes tells the manager, and the manager comes in and like, you're out of here. And I'm like, I'm so pissed, and I like freaking earlier I saw him, and I called him a cunt and all that, and like, I was so angry. But anyways, then I go to the worst girl in the world. I met the worst girl in the world. Like, heard her over the phone. She was like super like spontaneous and like outspoken and like confident and chaotic, and just like at the time is just sounded super attractive, like this like really like maybe like creative individual, or abstract individual or something like that. And my roommate introduced me, and like it turned out that like we were gonna date and stuff, and like they wanted to set me up with just like a intermittent girl to lead me. Like I'm gonna find, she's like saying, oh, you're gonna find your soulmate, and I'm just your temporary like leeway into that or what else. And like we hang out for a night, and like I go over and I hang out for a night, and I'm a useless lump, like totally like she's a total psychopath. But at the same time, I hung around too long, didn't want to leave or what. I was like just awkwardly staying there and not really like I wasn't very sharp. Like and like oh no, I asked her to make me some food, but like her house was like super trashy, and it smelled like cat poop, and had like a fridge full of food and like just like stuff around, and it was just messy and kind of gross. And like she was like an alcoholic, so she smelled really weird, like just smelled like ethanol or something. Like she was like drinking a bottle or two of vodka a day. And later I found out that like but she like I'm talking, and like I'm trying to talk to her for the first night, and then she's like interrupting me all the time and like cutting me off, and I'm just like, motherfucker, like I have a whole bunch of cool shit that I could say. If I could just freaking say what I have to say, you're gonna think I'm so cool and badass and all that. But no, she was like super domineering. I also made a mistake that like really triggered her. Like I was like, oh, I'm a grandiose narcissist. I told her that, and thinking like, oh, it's no big deal. And then I kind of explained it like, I just kind of have big dreams and ambitions, and like believe in myself or something like that. But anyway, she was like, oh, I was really hurt by a narcissist before and stuff, and she was a total narcissist, like absolutely like just really a piece of work. Later I find out that like this is a person who like or I stay there for, she allows me to stay, she goes to the psych ward, and and like I'm there with my roommate, and like kind of just at the house or whatever, and I'm there for a couple days. I end up doing like, I remember I ended up doing like 100 squats or something like that, pretty meager workout, but I did a home workout. It's like I actually worked out without equipment, without being at the gym, like just with my body and all that, and did some push-ups or something like that. But like that was one thing I was like really happy about as far as memory. But other than that, I was just there like super scared of this girl who's just like, and I'm like thinking like, oh, I'm gonna stay here, oh, I'm gonna like, this is great, this is an apartment, like I could like maybe build off a life, and I gotta help this person, and it's oh no, I was just like sitting there, I felt terrible, and afterwards, one of the mutual friends who I met through them uh, later, that I'm still friends with, later tells me about this person and what they've done, and like they're really terrible, like absolutely horrible, like freaking like tying people up and raping them, and like I don't want to get in, I don't want to get into too many details and stuff, like on occasion, and just lies and drama and sabotage, and like just gaslighting and all the narcissistic bullshit. And yeah, but I ended up reading like this book while I was there, a little bit of it. It was about like Krishna or something like that. Like these Hindu, it was like this Hindu religion or something like that. What, like, was there anything that I gleamed off of that? Like something like there's a spiritual realm, and there's multiple realms that you can discover through sitting and meditating and imagining these places that apparently exist, these other worlds, according to the Hindus. And yeah, there is, I don't really know how that's any different from a dream. It's probably just like a dream, but it's potentially like you could find a place in the universe and it's like, oh, I'm going to simulate that. And like maybe multiple people discover the same place or something like that, but I don't know. Anyways, I freaking, she comes back and then it takes 2 days and like, I don't know, I kind of don't really, I'm just more focused on going to work and waking up in the morning and like, they're still asleep and I'm up doing my self-improvement stuff or trying to, and I getting up and like my stomach, I think my stomach still hurt. It was still burnt at that point. And anyways, I felt really terrible there. I was basically scared and I didn't feel like I could speak anything that I wanted to speak. And she was just like constantly always like 95, maybe that's like an underestimation, 95% of the time is like, it's my turn to talk, it's my turn to have an idea, and just like no like major care unless it's like beneficial to her, like about what anybody else thinks. And no, none of that like, oh, I should share it, allow out some space for them to talk and comment and all that. But I freaking I call my mom and I'm like, I can't stay with this person. I gotta get out of here or whatever. And then I end up going to one last motel. One thing that happened was I was sitting there. So that motel, I was supposed to ride my bike up a hill, and the bike that I had found, I found this bike was like bringing my other bike, walking it to the Bingham Cyclery, and I freaking decided to walk down through a neighborhood and try to look for customers for my song playing and donation asking. And I don't find anyone, but I go up the hill and next to a gas station, there's just this bike. And I just take it to the shop and get it fixed. There's this part on the chain that like is broken or whatevs. And I have this bike or whatevs. And now I have like this light bike. But anyways, I was supposed to ride this bike up the hill, and then it's like maybe like 15 minutes, 10 minutes probably. I don't know. I don't remember. I wasn't that dialed in and like figuring out the times, but I basically spent like a week or two just miserable. Like there was like maybe 1 or 2 days that I went out and I did some sprints in the parking lot, and I was just like, yeah, like I just stayed there for a week, and then like one friend on Facebook kind of contacts me and like they say, oh yeah, we can go out on 8 Mile Run. Anyways, they're just like another fucking loser, whatever, like lying, aloof motherfucker or something like that. Because nothing came out of that, and like they were in the military and like, oh yeah, I could help you out. And I was like talking about, I was like, oh, I could use a savior, that would really help right now or something like that. But I don't know, probably they just you thought something like, oh, what a useless idiot, or whatever, or take care of yourself, or some dumb bullshit that like callous, selfish people think, or whatevs. I don't know. But like, yeah, and that didn't pan out. And then there was this time that I was like there, and like I was like, oh, I let you stay with me, roommate. Oh, I want milk. I want milk. And then like basically he said, and I had this big argument, like it was like late at night. It's like, go get me milk or something. Go to the store and get me milk. Like I was so freaking weak that like the motel I was at was, there was just like a little road, like maybe 5 minute walk there, and a little bit down there and back, not even 5 minutes. And like there's a gas station now, and it's funny, like, get me milk, bitch. And like that's what he said, is like, you want me to get you milk? And I'm like in this totally like freaking you owe me, or what I was like, you should pay me back, or what I was in it, or what I don't know. I'm just like all upset and all that. And then I attempt to like try to make him my motivational coach, and I just like, he says a bunch of quotes, and look, like thinking back on it, they were probably pretty good quotes and motivational things, but like I just totally ignored it. It's like I was just like, I don't know, I wanted like someone who was so freaking dedicated, like made it so urgent that like added pressure to get me to go to the gym, but I just never really ended up going all that frequently. And then that place shuts down in a few days, just happened to close. And there's another thing, like there was this blue-haired guy who whatever, and like there was a whole bunch of girls and some dudes who were hanging out. They were like part of this student program or whatevs, and he like got kicked out, and they didn't like him because he was creeping them out. And they asked and then they wanted to see if he could stay with me, and I was like super like paranoid or something, like standoffish, like I don't know this guy and all that. And then like afterwards I was kind of like, like I could have helped him out or whatever, but I wasn't very social at the moment. I wasn't feeling good at all. Just like freaking chasing cigarettes or something like that. I don't know. Whatever petty pleasures I was getting out of that. And I wasn't really watching all too much content. I wasn't just like scrolling on my phone. I barely remember being on my phone at all. Maybe that's a good thing. I remember lying there for hours, just miserable. But I should have helped that guy out. Just for a night. Should have been more trustworthy. And then should have been like, I'm a giant ass dude who knows how, like, who's muscular and like knows some martial arts, trained for like a year or something like that, a few times a week, and not really a lot of sparring. From what little experience of the last time I did it, well, just like kind of playfully, like lightheartedly, sparring, I did pretty decent with someone who had more training than me. But I don't know. Anyways, like I can really dominate with kicks. Oh my god, I got such big legs, bro. He's like, I can kick. That is great. It's a great advantage. Like I could totally freaking be an MMA fighter. Like I could just not go to the SEALs, just go down that path and just be a fighter. Like I really think that I have what it takes to be a champion for something, athletic maybe, and like, or like my wits are sharp, or like there's something, I don't know. I have this typical like dumb tough guy, like idiot who's not actually probably that tough, idea that like I could really well, I realistically I understand that my potential for fighting is there. Um, yeah, like I'm pretty smart, and like that increases my reaction time, and that really helps. And then like being more mindful and aware and stuff like that, and just I really like those MMA years. I'm like so coordinated still, like it kind of taught me how to dance. I don't really practice enough, and I should be doing shadow boxing and martial arts, and like it's really cool. um but I ran out of motivation once I got my fake sword, not a sword, but like something that fell off a truck, I think. This big metal thing. It was like a broadsword, and then this pipe, but they got taken away by my parents because I broke a freaking piece of the wall. Like saying like I was high as fuck, and I was like, "There's bugs in there. Let them out. Free the bugs." And like I freaking bop, and then like then I freaking yeah, and yeah, and that gets taken away. And then the other one, I'm in the hospital, and I tell the doctor that I have this sword, and I can't wait to go back and do all this martial arts, and it was super good for me. She calls my freaking dad, and he throws it away. One of my like favorite things. I had the best time just running around, like putting my helmet on, putting on a basically like some armor or whatever, like knee pads and armor pads, and like I felt super cool, and like I'm a freaking soldier, and I'm practicing, I'm doing sprints, and I'm going around, and I'm swinging this around, and like the only real practical thing is like maybe in the apocalypse if something happens, I'll be like trained up for it or better in a fight. Probably not, but like I would have to train Hema or something like that. But yeah, it was a great workout. And now all I have is this like 10-pound mace or what else, which it's all right, I guess. I can do swings and do sprints and do swings and do sprints, but it's really not the same as those other two things. Yeah, and yeah, just like what I learned is like you're supposed to wake up from the motels and stuff. You're supposed to wake up, and the best thing to do is just or I kind of learned this more when I got to this house that I'm at. That like I should wake up every morning and immediately get to work. Like workout's the first thing that I should do. And don't procrastinate it as best as I can. Like God, like I could have been miserable in like jobs or something like that for years. I mean like I might be somewhere else. I might be an entrepreneur or something like that. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten the idea to be a SEAL. I don't know. And who knows if I'll ever be a SEAL, but like it's up to one thing, and that is, can I do math? I know I can go through Hell Week. I know I can go through the training. Now, swimming is another thing. I don't know if I can swim well at all. I can't swim well at all, and I can't hold my breath for shit. So I have the idea in my head. I'm supposed to go to, there's a swimming place nearby. It's not too far. I could ride there on my bike pretty easily. I should go at least once a week, or twice a week would be better. And go swim and practice. But yeah, freaking get to the anyways, get out of that horrible girl's house, that wretched alcohol narcissist asshole, whatever. And like then my mother takes me to that motel where I kind of miserably sit there, and like I did the sprints, and like there was that guy that I didn't help out, and then then I get kicked out of that motel, or that motel shuts down. Where do I go next? I don't remember. Oh, then I go to Ogden, and then it's that place that was like right next to the freaking gym. And yeah, and I'm there for like a week or two, and I'm feeling pretty good and happy about that. I'm next to the gym. But then also while I was there, like, I was, my room, the door didn't shut very easily all the way. And one morning, like, I woke up and there was a girl in there, and like, my stupid fucking brain, I do this all the time. Like, when I got hit by a car and someone broke my freaking bike, bike peg or stand, I got hit by the car. I just asked him for $100, and like, then afterwards I tell my mother, she's like, what? You were supposed to sue him and like get the money, and you could have gotten a new bike. And I'm like, shit, I didn't think about that. I wasn't offended. I was just like, I'm not hurt. And then at the end of the day, like, though maybe he should have paid for it and all that, and I should have gotten a new bike. Oh no, like, I don't know. I feel kind of bad about it. This is kind of a weak argument, I guess. But like, I don't know. It probably wouldn't have mattered to his like budget or whatevs in the grand scheme of things. But like, I don't know. I kind of like, he got away. He got to keep his money. Whatever. I guess that's a good thing for him or something like that. Or maybe it's bad because he wasn't held accountable. I don't know. But yeah, and then I get to this house, and like, I'm having conversations and stuff like that, and like, but I'm trying not to mention the people's names or anything like that. But like, it's really cool. Like, I'm now talking to I'm talking to and like, it's fun. Like, I have someone to socialize with more and share, and she's been very receptive to all my advice and stuff. And anyways, and yeah, and I just got the idea of like waking up in the morning and going straight to the gym, like, swallow the frog, do it first thing in the morning. If you gotta eat a frog, it's best to just get it out of the way and do it first thing in the morning. So like, yeah, and then like, I've been fairly consistent past few days, past week or two, not really going to the gym all too much, actually, kind of skipping out on things. Like, for the two times, one time I went with, oh my god, this is so stupid. I just want to say their name. Anyways, freaking, yeah, was supposed to go to the gym and go to Vasa instead of the gym that I go to by myself. And that didn't happen because of just typical, like, someone trying to get disciplined in the gym and make, it doesn't make get in the gym and make progress. I don't freaking know. God damn it, my jumbled thoughts. Like, man. Anyways, or my doubts and all that. Stupid distractions. I wish I could stay attentive. But yeah, and now I'm just like, I woke up today and I did 400 squats, and then I was like, tried to write an article, and it was just like about like random things that I've learned or whatevs. I didn't get too very far into it. What was it about? Like, one of them was like kind of a failure because it's not necessarily true. Like that mean people are weak, and you could say that maybe they have a weak character, they don't understand like that I don't know. Kindness is superior to meanness, and given the circumstances, like unless maybe is that person an adversary? Are they a problem to your country and state or something like that, or to your people or whatever? Like they're adversaries, and there's like this video about this anime. I don't remember the name of the anime, but it was like this guy made this quote like, "I have no enemies," or whatevs, and it's like choosing not to have adversaries or whatevs, like, and just not engage in the competition or whatevs. I don't know. I don't know what the lesson was, but yeah, and now I'm just like trying to stay away from weed. Just got done with a stupid, the last two weed vapes that I got. The first one, like, kind of stopped working towards the end, and then I got another one, and it was totally useless. It was like the smallest freaking high, and was just making me feel like shit or whatever. And yeah, like, no more weed. Hopefully. I don't know if I can stay away from it. Just, like, don't call my friend to come pick me up and go to the gas station. That also, like the vapes are, I thought it was Muscimol. But turns out it was, like, some Muscimol mixed with HHC, and that, like, Muscimol, like, when I bought these gummies, Muscimol gummies, they didn't really do anything. And then only till after, once I go to this vape shop and I enter, and like they mention they're getting rid of them, they're banning them, and because they had tested them and they had HHC, and yeah, and then like these two gas stations, one has like a 6 gram, that they're selling under the table, and then the other gas station is selling a 2 gram, and yeah, like, weed's super available, so, like, that's kind of cool, I guess, like, but I'm pretty done with weed. I should be, like, it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't help me with creativity or motivation. It kind of just, like, makes me crave this comfort and this dopamine high, and distracts me from, like, accepting the mundanity and low dopamine, or steady dopamine that is satisfying when writing, but, like, this steady dopamine that's a little more reasonable and manageable, and yeah, like, I don't know, reach the highest heights, you gotta go really low, or something like that. And if you go really low, like, say you experience an incredible amount of pain, you can experience an incredible amount of pleasure, or something like that, as the adverse. I don't know. Like, these two things are tied together. There was Diogenes the Cynic, who used to roll in hot sand during the summer time, and people thought he was mad or whatever, but he turns out he was, like, practicing, like, this sort of principle, this balance of, like, your comfortability and versus what you suffer, and sufferings through stressful things can be pleasurable, or like, useful. And yeah, Diogenes the Cynic, like, oh yeah, one time he was jerking off in public, and a dude walked up to him and was like, "What are you doing that?" And they're like, and he's like, "Oh, I wish there was an easier way to relieve lust or something, or like greed or some other emotion." Like, he made some statement or quote. I'll look it up. Okay, so the quote was, Okay, so upon being challenged for masturbating in the marketplace, Diogenes replied, "If only it were so easy to soothe hunger by rubbing an empty belly," or what else. Anyways, let's dive into Diogenes. We're just gonna read an article. Diogenes rejected social norms and conventions. So, there was one point there's a theater, and he was like walking backwards against the stream of the crowd, and someone asked him, "What are you doing?" And he freaking replied something like, "Well, you go about in your what was it? I'll look." So Diogenes lived in a storage jar, begged from statues, and walked backwards in the street. He had not lost his mind, but was trying to show people up as mindless hypocrites, or something like that. Yeah. I just read the article. Oh my god. I'm just stealing other people's content. I'm so stupid. Was a contemporary of Plato who once called him a Socrates gone mad. After exiling from his native Sinope for having defaced its coinage, Diogenes moved to Athens, took up the life of a beggar, and made it his mission to metaphorically deface the coinage of custom and convention. While he maintained was which he maintained was the false currency of morality. Stupid laptop. Oh my god. Oh, this touchpad is not so great. I got a new laptop. Oh, it flips around. It's like a tablet. Cool. In Greek for money, nomiste or nomisma, dainties. Diogenes disdained the need for conventional shelter and other corrupting dainties. So, like, he lived in that pot, and, like, he, at some point, like, saw a boy getting water with his hands, and then he threw out his cup, because it's like, this is, well, another dainty thing, or whatever. I don't really know much about Diogenes, I suppose. Just an image, just a feeling of like someone who's that I can barely remember. Why are they great? Diogenes placed nature and reason firmly above custom and convention, which he held to be incompatible with happiness. It is natural for human beings to act in accordance with reason, and reason dictates that human beings ought to live in accordance with nature, instead of wasting our substance in the pursuit of wealth or renown. We ought to have a sense and the courage to live like animals or gods, reveling in life's simplest pleasures, which are also its greatest, without bond or fear. Thus Diogenes taught that if an act is not shameful in private, it should not be shameful in public either. Once, upon being challenged for masturbating in the marketplace, he replied, "If only it was so easy to soothe my hunger by rubbing an empty belly." I don't know. Now I'm just kind of like, I want to make Diogenes sound super cool. Like, man, Diogenes, one of the great heroes of philosophy or something like that. Yeah. After his privileged reason, Diogenes despised abstract philosophy of the kind practiced at Plato's academy. When, to great acclaim, Plato defined a human being as an animal, biped and featherless, Diogenes plucked a fowl and brought it to the academy with the words, "Behold, I have brought you Plato's man." Plato consequently refined his definition, adding to it with broad nails one day. Diogenes asked Plato for a handful of figs from his garden. When Plato had a whole bushel sent out, he muttered, "Typical Plato." Like Socrates, Diogenes favored living dialogue over the dead word. When a certain Hegesias asked to be lent one of his writing tablets, he replied, "You are a simpleton, Hegesia. You do not choose painted figs, but real ones, and that you pass over the true training and would apply yourself to written rules." I should have just made a podcast about, like, reading a article about Diogenes, but yeah, social conventions, living with nature, living a simple life and enjoying the simple, natural enjoyments of nature, and yeah, and just and rejecting social norms, and like, oh no, they're hypocrites. Like the crowd is a bunch of puppets, or sheep, or like a herd animal, as Nietzsche would describe them, and like there's these people who are just like following the crowd and just going with convention and not thinking out of the box, not having a sense of individuality, not having a path of meaning and purpose, and like just going with what is assigned to you, and like building a life of your own, pursuing your own creative goals, and career goals, and like generating your own content and making your own products. What was I saying? Making your own products. Building up a social media company is like one of them. Like building up a skill and creating your own personality online, and tracking your progress and leveling up and all that, like and documenting the process online, and then teaching people what you learn. And like I don't remember what my original point was with that, why I was saying that, but or how it related to what I was saying before. But yeah, total dummy. Oh my god. Oh well, the podcast is about over. It's too long. It's 51 minutes, and I gotta go and just upload this and then share it to all the platforms that I can, and hope that it gets a listen. Oh, please. One listen. Oh, 5 seconds. That's all I need. That's all I need, God.